Okay, so we're good. All right, guys, welcome back after that little impromptu break. Technology is awesome, but I think we're around the hump there. So as you guys discussed during the break, like the Jays did win today. You know, they swept the Reds. Go Jays. For those that don't care about baseball. So there. Anyway, let's talk about selling. Now, selling in one of these sessions is one of those times where you have to do something. Now, I'm going to ask the group, and I'm also going to ask online. But who enjoys selling? I want to see some hands. So 1, 2, 3. You were scratching your face, I think. I couldn't tell what this was. Okay, so yes, sort of. And I see, yeah, that was yes. Yeah, okay, you're just reluctant. I want some, let's get into it. Throw those hands up. Yeah, exactly. So, selling. I'm going to be honest. It's not something a lot of people are very comfortable with. And I'm curious to get reaction from the chat and in the room. What is it about selling you're uncomfortable with? Because if you didn't put up your hand saying, I like doing it, I'm assuming you're uncomfortable. Now, there is no wrong answer to this. And this is not a judgment thing. I want to know so I can help you. So tell me what it is that you don't like about selling. Fire it out. Let's hear it.
I think for me personally, like when I am in a store, like you know that those prices are set from someone else, right? So you can like blame someone else. But when it's on you.
Oh, I like this. Hold on. I love this because you said when you're in a store, those prices are set by somebody else. When they're set by you, now continue.
I don't know, I get so connected to a client, I'm sure as we all do. I sometimes feel bad being like, yeah, that's how much it is, which I shouldn't. But it's hard to be like, yeah, I have to blame myself, but that's that much. No blame.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you have to, it's almost like a justification of your price in a way.
Yes, justification.
Yeah,
Do you
well.
believe in your product?
100%.
Then that's what you're selling.
I know, but.
My brother's a salesman. I'm not a salesman.
Yeah.
I'm a little actor, so I can sell anything.
And the point was just made, like if you believe in your product, you shouldn't have a problem saying what the price is.
Yeah.
And I totally don't anymore. And I've also trained salespeople in previous 9-to-5 jobs how to sell stuff. And trying to get a photographer at a camera store to sell, it's like herding cats. Oh God, it's tough. I'd rather take a salesperson and teach them a little bit about photography than go the other way around. Because it is challenging sometimes because people are like, ooh, it's that much. Oh, I feel like, I shouldn't be asking this much. Oh, I'm afraid to ask for the sale. You shouldn't feel in any way embarrassed for your product being killer. Like if you've got a killer product, rather than saying, yeah, that's $900, it's this you can have for $900. No, I'm not going to do the used car salesman. I'm just teasing you. You can have this for 3 easy payments of $300. No, it's like, but like I blankly say like, hey, this book, it's $600. This one is, I'm just making up prices here. This one's $900. Which one do you like more? I put it right back in at them like it's as matter of fact as the sky is blue. And I don't make price an issue. I never make price something that they should be concerned about or something. I just assume everybody has $1 million in their pocket, and I want a little bit of that $1 million. I'm a little bit of a greedy capitalist in that respect, but I totally understand if people, can't spend $2,000 with me. That's fine. We'll find you the right thing that works for you. And you have something on the chat.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Oh, did we just hit a nerve and light that one up?
So, Jose says she feels like a vulture.
Feels like a vulture? No.
Katie
No.
says she doesn't like being too pushy.
Doesn't like being pushy.
Catherine says it's nerve-wracking, but I love hearing from clients what they love and like to see them buying things. Sherry has a fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. I love no, I'm used to rejection. I don't love it.
And then there's also the comment about confidence.
Yeah, and the confidence thing. Now, this is the hardest thing that we as, we'll call ourselves artists / I really want you to be more business people than artists, but this is where we all start getting a little antsy about it. If you've never had to sell in a job, I mean, listen, I have done that. I worked at camera stores. I would, uh-oh, what's going on there? We lost our thing again? Okay, we lost the slideshow though.
Why don't you continue talking
Yeah,
about what you...
I'm just going to keep continuing. Anyway, the whole thing is like I had to sell stuff day in and day out. Now, you have to remember, I was up until the end of high school, probably the most timid person you would ever meet. Get me in front of a room like this, no way in hell. It's not happening. Put me in front of people that I don't know, that I'm not comfortable with, and then ask to take their money. Oh my God, what a nerve-wracking experience. Listen, I've been there. I've been that person. But ultimately, what it really came down to is I realized, like, I'm providing a service for people, and I'm basically trying to figure out what it is they want to buy from me. I don't see myself as a salesperson. I see myself as more of a consultant. And as a consultant, my job is to ask questions and find out what it is that would make it like the best fit for them, whether it's wall art or a book. And price, yes, is something that we have to consider. And I tell people, just matter of fact, it's this much. I don't hide stuff. My price list is always in their face. They know what the price is going to be. There's never any surprises. I have payment plans for people who just but I love this, but I can't spend $1,000. How else can I do this? I will make it so that they can take like 3 months to pay for the final thing, even though I've delivered the products. Just make damn sure if you're going to do that, you get a credit card number. Even if they're going to pay you in e-transfers, make sure you have a credit card to back that up, so you don't just give them a $400 or $500 discount for no apparent reason. But feel confident in what you do. And I understand that selling is an awkward thing. But if you have the tools in front of you, like your samples, you basically are like, this is this product, it costs this much. What do you think? Is this too much money, you don't bring up money when you're in a sales discussion. You just assume somebody is going to spend something until they tell you they're not. That's how I've always approached it. You got a point, Lou?
Yeah, because in my experience, the thing that makes me nervous about selling, good question by the way, is that a lot of the customers cut me off at the pass.
They cut you off at the pass, so they have a budget.
We have a budget.
Okay.
We're not going to go beyond the budget. Or it's kind of like, we're not really interested.
Okay, so they either have a budget, they're like, I don't want to spend that because I don't see either value, or what? What is the for?
They don't want to go above and beyond.
They don't want to go above and beyond?
So my mental thing that I have to get over with is, the time I'm putting it, am I wasting my time putting into this?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're asking, are you wasting your time putting it into this? I'm going to say no, you're probably not wasting your time. If you show them amazing things, if you show them a book that's just like you pre-laid it out, it's just like, holy moly, like this is like just wow. And you're selling an emotional product as a photographer. When you're dealing mostly with the consumer end, if you're selling this to a business end, the emotion is usually gone because businesses are faceless entities. But
Okay.
I just had to throw that one in there. But yeah, if you have a mom and her baby, believe me, that is an emotional thing. And they are going to want to remember that thing, because you can basically tell them, like, look, that kid that's really cute right now, 10 years from now, you're going to hate it. You want to remember the kid as it is now. And I mean, I say that in jest. I will say funny, silly things if I gauge the customer will respond well to that. In any sales scenario I have ever been in, I am not a robot. I will not repeat a script. I will ask questions. If you want to, in all my years of selling, teaching salespeople how to sell, the thing that would drive me insane is like, guy walks into the camera store and then he says, I'm looking to buy a digital camera, and they go, this one. Now, the question I would ask the salesperson is, why did you grab this one? Well, because it has this feature, this feature, this feature, this feature, and this feature. Irrelevant. What did the customer want? That's the question you need to ask yourself, and that's what you need to do as a salesperson. You need to ask questions. Not questions like, what's your budget? But what are you looking for? Like, I will have people inquiring all the time, and when I don't get an answer of like which package they're interested in, I say, well, what are you doing this for? I want to find out, is this for a milestone in their life? Is it for a wedding present? Is it for a significant other on an anniversary? Is it exclusively for them? What is it? Oh, did you see that I offer a whole bunch of finished products like books and wall art? And did you had a look at that part in my info guide that they will be sent? If you went to any of the other seminars, you'll know that I do this. And they'll say, yeah, I'm looking at this package. Oh, cool, that one comes with an 8x10 book. That's my most popular package. So what else do you perceive, like, and let's just say it's a 1 hour session, like maybe I'm adding on an extra hour because I'm gonna go like, hey, 1 hour is good, but if you wanted to add a little extra time, because A, it takes you a little while to warm up, B, it's like, if you want a little more diversity in looks, we could do a 2 hour session. There, all of a sudden, I've justified to them why they'd want a 2 hour session. Or if they're saying to me, oh, I only have a budget of $900 and I've got an $800 package, which includes a block cover album, and the next one up, they go, and I'm saying, do you want digital images with that? Why am I asking if they want digital images? Because the base package, the $800 package, includes 10. The one up includes a bigger book and more digital images. So now by asking them a question, I can justify to them their reason for spending more money. I'm asking questions, not yes or no questions. I'm asking them questions based on the products I sell to try and figure out what they like. When they're in my studio shooting, I have artwork all over the place. And say, whoa, and sometimes, when I do show them a picture or when they come in for the reveal and I've sent them a sneak peek, I said, that sneak peek could look great on the wall. Like, I make these, right? And they're like, oh, really? Yeah. They're like, they're $700 for the one that sits behind my desk. And, they go, really? And I like, yeah, wouldn't that be awesome over the bed? Or I'll bet you we could find another one in the series that would look even better than on the wall. Like, I'm excited, I'm offering them ideas, and I'm giving them an option to buy. And I just keep dropping little hints, but I'm always trying to mine data indirectly to try and figure out what it is they want to buy from me. So when it comes to closing the sale, all I have to do is just say, oh, you like the wall art? Okay, let's add that onto the package. And by the way, when you do that with your book at the time of order, you save 10% on that wall art. So in this case, it'd be like, depending on the size, it might be $100. And I'll just do the quick math in my head. That's why I choose 10 and 20%, because it's really easy for me to calculate. Especially on like Tuesday nights when I'm just done. But that's basically like my hook to get them to buy stuff. But they've already said they like it. I now just have to offer it to them. That's what selling is all about. You just have to ask questions. If you're simply just saying, and this is where I also kind of like my package pricing idea versus all a la carte, where you have, session fee, or like I'll show up to shoot your wedding for this, and then it's everything on top. Like, I kind of like starting with a little cluster package and then adding the little extras in addition, because it doesn't seem like as big an ask. Like, you don't take a $300 thing and turn it into $3,000, which is a little bit more awkward for a lot of people. Like, if they know they're in it for 15 and they end up out the door at like 22 or 24, okay, fine. Like, I've really accessorized that sale, if you want to call it that. But, ultimately, that's what I've done. So that's what selling, I think, is all about. It's about asking questions, mining customers for information, find out what they want as far as finished products. Consultations should not be about, hey, this is how I shoot, this is what I do. It should be about showing your finished products if you do consultations and figuring out what they would probably want. Because if I have somebody who is just after digital images, I will shoot it a little bit differently than if I was shooting for a book. I'll take less of those detail shots and more of the full body shots in the genre that I shoot. But if I know I'm shooting for a bigger book, I'm also going to make sure that I keep the format size in mind. Like if they want a 9x12, it's much more panoramic than say an 8x8 square. So I have to shoot it a little bit differently. So knowing all these things really helps me when I go to even final proof production.
Sorry, so when you do a consultation, that's before the shoot, and that's
Consultation.
or over the phone?
Consultation could be over the phone in a lot of cases. I try not to, but I would ideally love to have people come in to my studio to meet me, and also just to just kind of see what the space is all about, see what I'm all about, and then I also get to show them all the finished stuff. But that's an element of it. Sure, I'm going to answer questions and what they can buy. And I want to gauge and read them like a poker player would read the person across the table from them, what they are responding to, and then I will make notes during the consultation. I write everything down. And then I, of course, put it into my client management software, so when it comes time for the reveal, I pull up my notes and go, oh yeah, they were after this. Like I got a reveal tomorrow morning. I know she's going to want some wall art, big wall art, because she's a cancer survivor and she had a very interesting surgery for reconstruction. So I know she wants something like that. She also wants a high-res digital image file that she's buying separately for her presentation to the Canadian Breast Cancer Society. So like I know these things ahead of time. So I'm already halfway there. You had a
What
question
happens if
too.
you don't have a studio?
Do it at your house. I don't care. Do it at the coffee shop if you don't have a studio. It doesn't, like, just because I have a physical space does not give me any edge over you by any means. I mean, I used to meet people in coffee shops. For what I do, it doesn't exactly, it's awkward because it's like, you know, you want to make sure the laptop faces the wall, not the store. But
Most of us who don't use Boudoir.
yeah, but why not? Like,
But I actually go to the client's home and do it.
yeah. Yeah, Jen said she goes to the client's home. I mean, why not? That's just as good. Sometimes you could very easily take a little Apple TV, which I have running the TV slideshow here, and you could just, you don't even need to connect to their Wi-Fi network. You just connect to that Apple TV and just blast the stuff onto their TV. Keeping in mind that the TVs are going to destroy the colors and crunch the contrast, but it'll still give you the gist of the image, and on a big screen rather than huddling around your laptop. But show them the images, gauge what they're after, and ask them questions like, wouldn't you love to have a big piece of wall art? Like, I make these amazing things. If you can't bring the wall art physically with you, like if you don't, like I was contemplating before I got my own space to have small samples done up of wall art that I could slip into my bag. So at least I could show them what the difference between a float mount was versus a standout, which is what I do. And then show them the two different types of either metallic paper or luster paper finishes. And so they could choose between one of those. So there's lots and lots of different ways, but you gotta have samples with you, and I wanna talk about that next.
One little hint on upselling when you're at the person's home and you're using their big screen. If they say, well, all we need is a 5x7 or 8x10, you can resize it through Capture One and show them how big it is on the screen.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like the point was if they say, oh, all we need is a 8x10's plenty
Yeah,
big
right,
for the
right.
wall. Sure. No, 20x30 would be ample for the wall. But yeah, show them like how big a little 5x7 would look on either using Capture One or Lightroom or something like that. Show them how big a 5x7 is on their TV, and they'll be like, yeah, maybe we want one the size of our 60-inch TV, right? So that's a really good sales point. So, to the point of selling, it is easy if you ask questions. It's just you also have to be confident in what you do. Like, if you're feeling insecure about your work, I mean, I don't know what I can do to help you with that, but I'd question why you're doing this as a photographer. If you're that insecure about what you're doing, you probably need to take some courses to up your technical skills maybe or something. But, you know, ultimately, you're just trying to gauge what the emotional response is to your consumer. If they're loving it and you're like, oh, I don't know, like, you're obviously doing something right. So don't feel like you shouldn't be confident when you're there. That's the one thing you need to be as a salesperson. You need to be confident. You can't go, I think it might be. I'm like, there isn't a whole lot of could, would, should with me. It's this or it's that. I'm a little bit more black and white when I sell because I don't want to sound like I'm waffling. Yeah, when I say waffling, I just think of like chicken and waffles. I don't know. Yummy. But, you know, because if you can gauge your customer's like kind of emotional level, you can basically just go for it and say, yeah, this is be the perfect thing. Like a lot of times my customers are looking at an 8x10 book with my second from the top package, and I just go, but look at the 9x12 sample I've got. Like here's the 8x10 sample, here's the 9x12 sample. For $200, you can get the bigger one. And I know you're saying like, oh my God, that's too big of me. Like, no, it's not. This is a milestone in your life. Like I'm just picking off what it might be for them. This is a milestone in your life. Like, why wouldn't you get the better one? I will ask questions like that. Is that slimy? No. It's just, I'm doing my customer a disservice if I'm at least not offering the option. If they say no, that's their choice. But I'm doing not only myself, but I'm doing them a disservice if I don't ask them at least or tell them about what can be done, no matter what the cost. Not everybody gets an upgraded cover from me. Some people get the base covers. That's fine. But I'm always going to offer it to them. I'm going to show them how amazing it is. All my samples are always decked out. So that's just basically how I go about that. And I guess the last point that's listed on there is the more money that they spend, the more money they save. If somebody walks up to me and is very price conscious and is like, kind of like, oh, my budget's $500, what can you do for $500? Well, I'll tell them what I can do for $500, but then I'll say, but if you went up instead of, well, let's say instead of, I'll use my own pricing because I know it off the top of my head. Instead of $595 for my base package, if you went to $795, you at least get a book, right? And is that something you would want? And they go, yeah, I kind of would like the book. Well, let's do this. And then I just drop in, oh, I also have a payment plan too. You can space this out over 3 months. And they start going, okay. And all of a sudden, I've stepped somebody up to the next tier. And that's important. And from there, is the more stuff they add, the more stuff they can get. So if somebody, for example, with me decides, hey, if they start dropping $2,500 and $3,000, they're also going to get a special thank you gift, a presentation box with their album. They will also get a little acrylic, like counter thingy. Do we have one of those acrylic-y things that's sitting on the top? Yeah, with a block. It's basically a photo in front of like some. Shouldn't say plexi because it ain't plexi. It's acrylic. Okay, acrylic's a thing. I just thought that was all right. Here we go. So they get one of these. I know for internet land it's going to be a little tough to see. Just look for the acrylic blocks. But this is like a 5x7 looks like. So I could give this as a gift for the image that I kind of thought they liked the most. Or I might just ask them in the session. I'm going to give you a little special something if you do end up getting these extra pages. What I do is I do have a special thank you in the form. I sometimes tell them what it is, sometimes I don't. But if you do get that, you'll get that little thank you as well. You'll also get the better box. Like if I tell people if they spend more, they will get a little freebie. That works a lot of the time, right? It's just like if you're buying a car, right? The sales manager can give you a better deal on the decked out XLE version versus the base model, right? Because they got more margin to play with. And that's basically the way I approach this as well. Okay, so we're not going to do the break because we did that impromptu break already. So let's talk a little bit about presenting all of this. So first thing you are going to want to do is you need to find a method to show them either the album or the proofs So as I said, I do everything electronically because I have no patience for printing proofs. I don't see the need for what I do. If it works for you, awesome, but you might be able to trim off a little bit of a cost if you don't do it, because your computer screen can show a pretty stellar image, provided you're not in like bright direct sunlight, in which case it's not so fancy. But show them a book with more pages than what are included. This is an emotional product, as I said, and they'll look at that book and they'll go, and I'll say right up at the front, like I will tell them when we sit down, I said, listen, here's the deal. I've mocked up a book. It's however many pages, like it'll tell me in Smart Albums how many pages it is. And I said, look, you killed the session, so let's look through it. You don't have to take all 80 pages. In fact, we would have to trim this to 60 anyway, because I can't print more than 60 pages in one of these books. But like, hey, it's up to you which ones you want to take out and leave in, and then we'll rearrange them. We can reorder sets in different way, in a different order, all that kind of stuff. But it's up to you how many pages we end up with. And by doing this, I don't make 20-page books anymore ever again. I probably submit 1 in 20 books to GTA Imaging with 20 pages. My lowest typically is about 40 pages. I'll be averaging between 40 and 60 pages in those books. And it doesn't cost a lot of money to add the extra pages, but what it does do is it helps add those extra hundreds of dollars onto my bottom line with the same customer.
What about if you, sorry, what about if you have a lot of images to show them? Like if you're doing
What
a wedding.
Okay, so what if you have a lot of images to show them? Well, I mean, if your standard wedding book comes with 20 pages, well, you still design an 80-page book. You show them the 80 pages, and then they're going to be like, wow, that's awesome. And you start trimming a little bit, and they're going to realize very quickly, I can't take out 60 pages in this book. I'll spend more money. And they have no problem, because they see the amazing in the book that you've laid out. And they go, yeah, I'll do this. And in the case of weddings, you know, this is like that memory I want to remember. I don't want to just cheap out on my wedding album. I want to get the best album. And that's what they'll do. I really do believe that is the best trick I have learned thus far with in-person sales, is show them more than what they potentially are going to order. If you trimmed everything down to 20 pages and said, here you go, you've lost. Like, they're just, no, that's not the way to do it. Show them more and let them pare it back. And I've had maybe one in the last 60 customers that was actually able to get it down to 20 pages, but she was like ruthless. Like, she was taking out pictures where I'm like, I don't want to be your friend anymore, because that is a killer shot. I'd put that in any portfolio I have. Now, the 20-page book was like stunning shot, stunning shot, stunning shot, stunning shot. Like, it just never ended. But she did pare it down, but that was her choice. But everybody else typically is around 40 pages for me. Okay? So the other thing is, you need to have sample. If you're selling books, have sample books. If you're selling wall art, you need sample wall art. If you're selling, I don't know, thank you cards, you need to have those too. You cannot sell what they cannot see. I learned this in a camera store. It's like, yes, Nikon makes this. Can I see it? No. Then I'm not buying it. Okay, bye. You know, when I could have just asked them a few more questions and maybe found out if there was something else there. But ultimately, I think you need to have a couple different samples. One, you should always have samples that show the creme de la creme. Like, this is as fancy as it can get. Like, you know, you start looking at some of these books. I mean, actually, almost all of the books I'm looking around here, most of these are the more upscale ones. Like, you know, you got fancier upgraded covers on some of these. You've got, in this case, you've got super mega thick pages. Like, this is, geez, that's thick. Okay, so that's like a massively thick page. You've got different papers in these things. You've got all sorts of different things. You've got engraving. You've got little photo inserts. You've got acrylic covers. These are the things you need to have. If you decide that your upgraded cover isn't a genuine leather, it's an acrylic, get the acrylic sample, right? And then you can show them like the wow book, and if they like that, they're going to go like, whew, okay, yeah, I think I will spend the money on that. But if you're trying to sell an upgraded cover without, not going to order.
Comes back to the point of if you don't have space to do it, yes, you can use your home. But if you don't have the space at the house to do it, where you have young children or whatever, you're not really gonna sell when you're bringing people in and all of a sudden you have a baby crying. What can you do to get around that without looking like a vacuum salesman?
Okay, so your question is, if you go to their house and they've got potential kids crying and
Or
distractions.
they come to your place, yeah.
Well, if it's coming to your place, let's go their place first. If part of my super anal kind of thing with going to their place is, I need your undivided attention. If you need childcare, you need to arrange that. That's just how this reveal is going to work, right? That's number one. If they're at your place, have something on hand, or just say, don't bring the kids. Find childcare. Work with the parents or couple or whatever it is, one-on-one. Try to get those kids out of it, because that's just a huge headache. Because if you're going a little longer, then the kids are whining like, you said we could go to McDonald's. After being there for 15 minutes, that just shoots you in the foot. So I would say get those kids away from those ordering sessions with every possible means to do so. And if you need to, maybe build a little cage in your own house and put soundproofed, not airtight, but soundproofed.
Okay.
I just get rid of the kids.
Can I rent your studio?
Can you rent my studio? Yes, you may. So what else did I say? Of course, the images that you do show as proofs, anything that's going to make them go, wow, you want in those series of proofs, whether they're individual images or whether they're laid out in a book. But you want to carefully lay out that book so that you got BAM image next to something else that's maybe not as nice. You know how you get that image that's that's nice, but maybe that one that's totally different pose is better. But if you put it next to something that's amazing, you might go ooh, that's not so bad. You know what I mean? Kind of like if I had if I was out with, say, I don't know, name a really sexy male movie star. Brad Pitt. I knew you were going to say that. I was like, okay. So if Brad Pitt was hanging next to me, I'd look prettier, right? It's that exact idea. Yeah, totally. It's just hey, But yeah, you can put these images together, and sometimes you don't want to put the two BAM images and then two images. You want to mix them up a little bit. And of course, when you do, in the terms of books, when you're using something like Smart Albums or Fundy, when you're laying this out, now you're all of a sudden, you've got this awesome opportunity to show them what the final product is actually going to look like. Because people have a tough time envisioning what this is gonna go together like. They're gonna take a book and they'll be okay, where's that picture again? They're gonna look at, say, these three pictures, all very similar in just an online gallery. They only may choose one of them, but all three together in this particular book layout of the mom and the baby, they may go, oh yeah, this kind of tells a little bit of a story. So don't just fire images up on a page, be strategic about it. So that way when they're looking at the final results, they get a sense of what this book looks like, and they're like, wow, this is going to be awesome. And when I'm done, after we're done, going through everything, I then flip through the book one more time, and you just look at their face and they just go, oh my God, this is amazing. Because now they've trimmed off all those little extraneous images, and now they're just left with this amazing stuff, and you can see it on their face. They go, I'm sold, just here, take my credit card. Right? That's what you're aiming for. So let's talk a little bit about pricing. Now, pricing is one of those things you have to be smart about. Every time you create I've gone the package route. I'm not saying I'm right and whoever's doing a la carte is wrong. There's no reason to make that assertion at all. But when you're talking about pricing, I think you've got to have a place to start and then you got a bunch of things around it that you can add on. So typically, here's a few of the upgrades in terms of a book that I will offer somebody. So the covers, these are straight off my price list. Covers are $225, whether that be an acrylic cover or whether that be a genuine leather cover. Like anything that's upgraded, it's $225. A size from 10 by 8 to 12 by 9 is $200, or 5 by 5 to 8 by 8 is $200. Only if they're getting the very top tier package is it already a 12 by 9 book. So there's always something to add there. There's always the embossing route. So GTA will actually do a silver, gold, blind, or black foil emboss. And you can do that on the front of the books, on the inside covers. I mean, I always stamp my logo in black foil on a black end sheet on all of the books I produce, except for the block albums. Like any of the material cover books always have that fancy black stamp, just so they know who shot it. Like if a year from now, they're like, they show a friend, they're like, wow, it's amazing. Now, who was your photographer? And for some reason, they forget me. It's like, I don't know how they could, but, like, exactly, right? Like I want to have my logo on that book. I want it branded. Everything I put out is branded. So they can also laser engrave, which is super cool because you can get so detailed with these laser engraved things that GTA does. Like you can give them a ridiculously complex logo and they can laser engrave this thing into almost any surface, and it is sweet. You should really try it. And you got a question?
Yeah, so if they want to order a digital package, would you try to upgrade them to a book?
So if they were if they were just ordering a digital package, would I upgrade them to a book? Maybe I would test that water and see, but if not, they only get 10 digital images, so guess what? They're probably going to get another 10, another 20, another 30, another whatever. I will upgrade in terms of quantity of digital images. Next question, same.
Sorry. You gotta be
Part B.
Well, no, because I was thinking, so let's say you want to order 10 images. Do they actually get proof of the other images, or do they just not get
I show them, the question is, do they get the other images? Absolutely not. They get what they pay for. So I will show them 60 images, and if they decide 60 to 90, it depends on how many images I get out of the set. But if their package includes 10 and they manage to only choose 10, then they get just those 10. Those other 50 reside with me, and if they want to order those later, they can, but then there's a $100 kind of order later fee that they would go with. Otherwise, I say, you can just order more now.
Yeah, but would you show them proofs?
Yeah, I show them proofs on screen.
So once session is gone, those proof you don't see their proofs again.
They won't see their proofs again, no.
They won't see the proofs.
No. I don't put them up somewhere where they could maybe order them later. What I do is I will email people around Christmas and just say, hey, you were a client this year, and just so you know, I'm doing a 50% off sale for digital images if there were ever any more that you wanted to get, and I actually have quite a bit of traction with that, and I do that through my email subscription list. Somebody else had a question? No? You do.
Rolf does. He says.
Rolf.
Yes, he wants to know who retains the copyright.
As per the law in the country, I do. There is no such thing as they own copyright to any image that I produce. Unless they grabbed my camera and took it themselves, they do not have copyright. That's basic photographic copyright of anything. If you are the producer of the content, you own the copyright, whether it be a photo or video, or artwork for that matter. So the other thing we can do, presentation boxes. If they want something fancier, they can do that as an upgrade. With my top package, they get that included. That's one of the reasons as you step up in my package range, you get more with it, and you get fancier stuff with it. So now notice here I've got 1 spread and 5 spreads at the bottom of this little presentation. Can somebody do some math in their head for me for a sec?
No, but I can do it on my phone.
Do it on your phone, okay, yes. All right, so one spread or a left and a right page, 2 pages, is $115. Multiply 115 by 5. $575. What do I charge for 5 spreads? $325. What am I encouraging? Spending more. Right. So it's, if you do the math, 115 times 3 is a little bit more than 325, right? So I basically say, listen, I condition them to do 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 page books because it's easier for me, right? Like all GTA's templates and stuff, like in their Rose software, it's mostly based on like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 pages. So I'm conditioning people and making it an absolute no-brainer for them to order 5 spreads. Because those extra 4 pages that are there, what's that, another 4 images? No problem. But instead of only adding on an extra 2 pages, now they're going to add on an extra 10. That's what I'm encouraging. So they get more out of this, and it is just, that works phenomenally well all the time. Okay. So here's a quick look at some of the totals. So my most popular package sells for $1,455 as the base package. 2-hour session, hair and makeup, 8x10 Renzo book, not handy around me, but basically that's it. And of course all the images that go in the book. Oh look, there's an 8x10. Yeah, whatever. But look, they get one of these. Mind you, it's formatted like this for me. So it's a 10 by 8. But they get all that kind of stuff in there, and that's $1,455. Now, what I end up doing on pretty much every single in-person sale is they will take, they'll take 10 spreads. So that's 20 pages more. So they turn that 20-page book into a 40-page book. That is almost guaranteed to happen. I also play a little game where if you decide to take 40 pages, the first 3 are regular price. The last one is half off. See what I did? Did I just say that too fast? Because everybody's like looking at me blank. I can't tell what YouTube Land's doing, but let me explain that once again. So if they order 30 pages, right, that 30 to 40 page, the last 10, instead of being $325, is half that. So what I do is I basically go regular price, regular price, regular price, half price. If you go the mile and you...
$169.60.
That's roughly what I'm in it for.
That's what you take home, or that's what your
No,
cost
that's
is?
what my cost is,
Okay.
roughly. You can ask me what...
Take home.
You can,
just-
no, I'm just saying you can ask me what my profit margin is on any product, and I will know that. And if I don't, I have a spreadsheet to tell me how profitable a sale is. I was talking to one of my students, was it yesterday, the day before? I asked her, like, okay, so, excuse me? She was barely selling that at a profit. You should be in that 70 to 80% gross margin percentage range for most of your pricing. Most of my accessories, such as extra pages, they're up in the 90s. They're margin for me. They're extras. That's what you guys should be. Like, that's where you're going to make your extra money, is in your add-on sales. This is no secret to the internet. I mean, I have no problem saying this, because this is like, it's like any extended coverage plan or insurance or any of that kind of stuff, or any high margin accessory that a retailer will sell you. I'm just taking my retail experience and applying it to photography. That's all I'm doing. Like, and I'm making money that way. So I make a pretty good chunk of change on that, but I've also offered the customer a significant discount at the same time versus doing it a la carte. So if they ever question me on that price, my packages are discounted already from the a la carte, so it's already a discounted price. Like, my save story for each of my packages is between like $100 and $700 versus the a la carte price. And if they wanted to buy extra stuff on top of this, like wall art or whatever, awesome. And I offer them more of a deal if they buy more from me. That's the secret to selling. I'm not saying you have to discount everything, but if they're not going to buy anything from you, well, why are you or not buy much from you? Well, why are you discounting that much? That would always be my argument. And if you've ever been on the buying side of things and you've worked with a skilled salesperson, you'll know that they will offer you more of a deal the more you buy from them. That's a simple sales truth. So why not apply it to your own business, right? So now the last thing I want to talk about is what happens when you physically cannot meet with your client. Like I've had all sorts of clients come in from Central Ontario, Vancouver, Montreal, down in the US. I can't physically meet with them after the session. They're not hopping on another jet to come up and see me. All right? That's just the way it's going to be. However, this is not an excuse to go online gallery this or online album proof this. I just simply share my screen. I use some technology that is very easily available. Like you can use GoToMeeting, Join.me, iChat, whatever you can share your screen with and have them log in on the other end. I happen to use GoToMeeting. I've just found it works. Right? I can schedule a meeting with them and then it sends them a little link code. All they have to do is be in a Chrome browser and everything works amazingly. The only thing they cannot do is they cannot use an iPad. They have to be on a desktop. Because it's even if it did work on here, which I think it does, it's just too damn small, unless they have one of those iPad Pros, also known as a car windshield. So, like you just have to. I would suggest that if you don't have a studio space or you don't have the ability to meet up with them because of distance, use something like this, because you get to you can either use the VoIP function of the whatever GoToMeeting or Join Me or whatever, or you can just call them on your phone, right? Most of the time, most of us don't have minutes anymore on our cell phones. Like you can call wherever because all the data providers want to do in this country is hose us for data. So calls are kind of inconsequential. So just use your phone, call them. Just use like some hands-free stuff because you'll probably need your hands for typing and whatnot. But, and also, rather than using your computer's built-in audio, which could be a little echoey, having an actual headset might be a little better. And depending on what service you use, gotcha, just a sec. And depending on if you're doing video, what do you?
When you're in the ordering meeting and they say, oh, I'm going to think about it, I need to speak with so-and-so, and they want to schedule another sales session?
Well, I basically tell them, first of all, that's never happened to me, number one. If that were to happen, if they're going to be completely indecisive about this, I would probably just say okay, then it's another $100 for us to do another hour.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah,
Because
I'm
I've
all
been
over
in
that.
situation, and basically what I do is I ask them, what is their hesitation?
Sure.
Get to the root of it.
Yeah, Jen just said, she asked a very direct question, as a good salesperson will, is what is your hesitation? And find out. If it's oh, I got to check with my so-and-so, my partner for this or whatever, I said, well, okay, that's cool. But you want to call them now?
Yeah. Or always make sure that the people who make the financial decisions
Yeah.
in the family, maybe not so much for boudoir.
No, because it's them. That's why I probably haven't run into this.
Family or weddings, make sure the financial decision makers are there in the meeting.
Yeah, basically make sure the CFO is at the meeting.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's what I do for distant clients. But I always really try to get as much out of those distant clients for two-way communication as is possible. Even though it really sucks in some respects because I don't get to see their faces as they go, "Ooh, that's an amazing shot." That's the only part I get to miss, and that's sometimes unfortunate, but I get over it. So takeaways from this. Who's got some takeaways? Who have I given an idea to? And what is your idea and how are you going to implement it? I want to hear both in room and on chat. I want to hear how you're going to implement what I said.
I think for me, the shifting to that place of
Okay, so you're gonna
It's something I can stand behind.
yeah, okay.
Not just a photo, it's an artwork, and it's also something that has an emotional impact.
Right. So you said you're gonna from a sales perspective, you're gonna start looking at your work more as art, more than anything. And that's actually a great point. So I wish I had that exact quote, but a friend of mine said something really profound to me once. And they said, you know, it's not like if you have a print, you know, okay, the fact that this print costs $8 to make, you know, it's art. I fail art history. But yeah, like, you know, like you look at a Van Gogh or a Picasso or whatever, it's just ink, it's just paint on canvas, right? The fact that somebody has called it art is what gives it the value. And that's basically what they said to me, and I kind of went, yeah,
I think there's a
I get
quote
it.
about Picasso doing that, like somebody asking him for a sketch and then he asks for a bunch of money and she says, what for this sketch? And he basically says, you're paying for everything that led up to this sketch.
Yes,
Like,
and
all
that's
the
very true. Like, you know, he said that basically Picasso said, you're not paying for this sketch that I just gave you, you're paying for everything that led up to this. And that's very, very true. And I also jokingly say to people, you know, for the wall art, I can say, listen, you know that most artists, when do most artists become famous? When they're dead. So I say this, so I say to my clients jokingly, I say, listen, you can have an authentic Trevor Sherwin on the wall before I'm dead. How cool is that? They get a kick out of that. But yeah, I have fun with that. So I like to joke around. What can I say? What other takeaways do we have? What else are you gonna take and implement?
Luigi's got something.
Well, doing a free consultation with the client is, I'm beginning to see the importance, because even if it's a go-to meeting type of meeting, at least you're talking with them and showing them and
Yeah, absolutely.
living into their imagination.
Like a consultation meeting is one of the best things you can do. I probably don't do it as much as I should, but I'm like in all my correspondence leading up to the booking, the actual booking where they say, okay, yes, I want to book with you. I'm doing everything I can, throwing it out. Like if you want to come to the studio, that's cool. If you want to talk on the phone, that's cool. And if they have questions or don't have questions, that's cool. But I try to make that a big part of, you know, what I do. So if they want to talk to me and try to do this, you know, today, like, yes, I know we have cell phones, so we can just pick up and do a voice conversation. Try to do a face-to-face, like video conference. It's getting late. I'm trying to remember what I'm going to say. FaceTime. Yeah, try and talk to them FaceTime. Like, it doesn't have to be properly lit. You just got to not be a silhouette. Right? And you can even, like, if you're doing this on your iPhone, you can even put palm trees behind the backgrounds. Like, you know, I think you can do that. That's kind of cheese, but, you know, if that's your thing. Like, you know, you had mentioned that you'd done something kind of like, hey, these are my books.
Yeah, like
Right? Yeah, like in a video. And I think that's amazing. Like, that's so cool when you actually show somebody what it is you do. Have these links to send to people. Like, if you post, like, little flip through in the books for Instagram, show them. Like, send them links to those Instagram videos or if they live on your website or wherever. Like, get them to see what your finished products are and they can get excited about what you do as far as finished stuff.
That's some internet ways.
Ooh, internet takeaways.
So Catherine said that she just needs to do IBS already. An extroverted person would find this easier to do.
Okay, can an extroverted person do sales better than an introverted person? I'd like to think of myself still as a bit of an introvert. Not as much as I used to be. I mean, I used to be, like, anybody watch Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
I was basically Rajesh, okay? Couldn't talk to women if I wanted to. Like, just, I would get up in front and just, mouth wouldn't work. Now that's pretty much all I deal with. But selling and practicing selling got me out of that real introverted thing. It got me into the point where I could talk to people. And once, I think the most important thing is know your products. Like, you're not going to carry everything GTA Imaging makes. Like, I carry a little itty bitty sliver of what they do because it applies to me. But I know the prices of those products. I know what I can upgrade on those products. I know what the upgrade path is from my package to package to package to package. If you know your product, you can sell it effectively. And that's that's really the key of it. And and just see what happens. And I think once you get a little confident and a little steam behind you, you'll be like, oh, this isn't so bad. People aren't going to hate you. The worst thing they can do is say no, right? That's the worst thing they can say. They've already